Hi, seventh graders. Mr. Berardo again. We got to get moving on. Probably only a couple more lessons left. I mean, we're getting close to the end of the year, believe it or not. I know it's shocking. It's June 1st already, and we're only going to be together a couple more weeks. So we're going to talk about Abraham Lincoln, and we're going to talk about Abraham Lincoln getting assassinated, and we're going to be talking about these different plans that come in for kind of take place for Reconstruction. There's 4 different plans. We're going to talk about 3 of them today, and another one's going to be discussed as we move on. We also have 13. We have the 13th Amendment we talk about today. But without further ado, let's go on. Abraham Lincoln comes up with this plan for Reconstruction even before the war is over. It's really important. He's got to say, how are we going to get people back in? So he wants to get the South back into the United States as quickly as possible. So he has this idea called the 10% plan. Basically, a state can form a new government once 10% of its registered voters swore an oath of loyalty to the United States. It becomes known as the 10% plan. Seems pretty easy. It's really not that difficult. You know, every 10 out of 100 people, it's really not that difficult. People get bent out of shape. Once these states swear this oath of loyalty, they have to form a new government and they have to abolish slavery. Once they abolish slavery, once they accept that, because the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery, they have to. Once they abolish slavery, they can elect members to Congress. Okay, his plan included amnesty, which is basically a government pardon to any Confederate sworn oath of loyalty to the Union. Where if you once you say you're sorry, you're all good, and that's kind of what people were kind of bent out of shape. But Abraham Lincoln knew that if we held on to the anger of the American Civil War, it would never go away. Kind of right. We're kind of seeing that to this very day. But this was not offered to the leadership of the Confederacy. Jefferson Davis, senators in the Confederacy, military leaders like Robert E. Lee and other members of the Confederacy. This amnesty was not offered to them. So that becomes a problem. So Lincoln's going to start talking about this and trying to get it. There's a group of 2 senators called Wade and Davis. They don't like Lincoln's plan. They want to come up with their own, and they do. Basically, what they're saying is the majority of white men had to swear an oath of loyalty to the United States. Majority is a kind of a sticky number. We don't really know what that number is, going to vary from state to state. 10% was a much easier number to get. It was a much more forgiving number. This is a much more punishing number. They had to ban slavery, and anyone who volunteered or supported the Confederacy could not hold office, which is a whole bunch of people. So they're really taking all those people. They really wanted to disenfranchise a whole bunch of people, make sure that they couldn't participate in government anymore if they had supported the Confederacy at all. It's not a realistic plan. It just can't happen. So Wade Davis bill is going to get. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that happens to the Wade Davis bill. It doesn't work out. But that's one of the plans. So we have Lincoln's plan. We have the Wade Davis bill. There's going to be this thing called the Free Men's Bureau, which basically this group that comes along and is going to give former slaves food and clothing. It's going to help them find jobs. It's going to provide them medical care. It's going to set up schools in the South that are really going to help people get an education. Understand, all of this stuff happened because the masters used to give them their food, their clothing, if they had any education, which some of them had limited, but not a lot. But we're going to see that this is going to set up the public school system in the South. You're going to see parents, children, grandparents, all sitting in a classroom together to learn how to read and write. This is a big deal, and education is a very, very important thing for many people in the South. It's going to be very, very important for them to really fix the way that they're going to, I don't want to say fix the way they're going to, but for them to try and get on an equal footing with other people, being that they've never really been taught how to read and write. Ignorance is not a good thing, okay? Unfortunately for the United States, Abraham Lincoln gets assassinated. This is John Wilkes Booth. He never gets to really attempt to fight for his plan because he gets shot. He's assassinated by John Wilkes Booth while watching a play in Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. He's going to get shot in the head on April 14th and die on April 15th of April 1865. Essentially, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but John Wilkes Booth basically sneaks into a theater, shoots Abraham Lincoln in the back of the head, screams out, "Sic semper tyrannis," and then jumps off the stage, breaking his foot, ankle, leg, and goes on the run for a while. I had a great video I was going to show you. Maybe I can try and find it and put it in there, but we just don't have a lot of time left to really do that. But he is going to die. John Wilkes Booth. Lincoln will die. John Wilkes Booth will be on the run for a little while. But it wasn't just Lincoln. It was a whole bunch of people because there was a huge conspiracy. He had a whole bunch of help. John Wilkes Booth had a bunch of different people trying to help him out. Lincoln was to be killed. The vice president was to be killed. Ulysses S. Grant was supposed to be killed. The Secretary of War. Basically, they were trying to cut off the whole top of the government and do it with ease. So they were hoping that it would, I don't know, cause a lot of disarray. It did, and it really worked out very, very poorly. But there's a whole bunch of people that get accused of this, and they get captured, and a bunch of them get executed. You can see this is a woman right here. She's one of the first females executed in the United States. That's Mary Surratt, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens. If you want to look up stuff, if I can find stuff on the Lincoln assassination, I'll put it up in our lesson for the week. But maybe I'll just put that off until later on. Maybe I'll put that off to the end because I don't know how much time we're gonna have left to do all the things I want to do. Okay. All the conspirators failed except for John Wilkes Booth. Everybody, they kind of either chickened out or they just didn't succeed. And the only person to really do any good or do his job in this was John Wilkes Booth. All right, so Lincoln gets killed. We have a new president. His name is Andrew Johnson. When Johnson comes in, he basically says the majority of voters in each southern state had to swear an oath of loyalty to the Union. And they had to ratify the 13th Amendment, which banned slavery. And they were going to make sure, basically this is going to be met very, very quickly. Andrew Johnson is not looked at as a very good president. He is the first president to be impeached. He does not, he misses his impeachment to be thrown out of office by one vote. He's not a good president, and it's a fiasco for the United States. If Lincoln had survived, in all likelihood, we would have been much better off. So, all right, guys. Hopefully I'll get into it and talk to you about this later. There's somebody at my front door, so I'm kind of just looking at what's going on. I don't want to disrupt my video, but if Lincoln had survived, we would have seen a much different outcome and probably much better relations in the United States with regards to all the people that are here. Hopefully you guys can read a little bit into that and understand what I'm kind of getting at. But other than that, good luck to you, and I will talk to you soon.